Alright guys, I'm gonna go through this at like lightning speed because I did this already yesterday, and I'm recording it, so if you need to pause it and you can watch it at home. The first question that we had on the quiz on Thursday was about box and whisker plot. If you read the question, some of it, this word here, if you read which destination has a median temperature below, the other version was above, remember? 80 degrees and the smallest interquartile range. So for this one, the median is the stripe. So where's the stripe below 80? Here and Ocean Beach. So both of these satisfy this part, but which one has, this part. Which one has the smallest interquartile range? This would be Q1, this would be Q3. Same thing, Q1, Q3. The interquartile range is when you do Q3 minus Q1. So whichever one's smallest means that that box is actually smaller. So the answer was 3. And then moving on to this question here, just kind of going fast. What % of the over 60 age group had no opinion? So you should do all the totals, but for me, I'm just gonna go quick. What % of the over 60 age group, this would be my denominator, ¿cierto? That's the denominator, the total. So all the people over 60 belong here, and there were 75 of them. Now, what % of those 75 people had no opinion? 30. So 30 divided by 75 times 100, and this will be 40%, I think. Okay, and that was why the answer was 1. So moving to the next question, same table, different stuff. You can read the problem. If there are 204 10th graders, what percentage of 10th graders belong to, so this is not supposed to be that, it's supposed to be, for this version, it's supposed to be belong to a maximum of 2 clubs. And that was the question. Yesterday we talked about the following, that if you have a maximum, that's supposed to be less or equal. So what you needed to find was how many people are in 2 clubs, 1 club, or 0 clubs, and then you needed to add all of that up. So adding all of this up means, okay, how many people are in 2 clubs in the 10th grade? 17. There's 118 in 1 club, and then the question is, how many are in 0 clubs? That would have been the harder part. But you know that there are 204 10th graders in total. So all you have to do is think about, well, how many people are in clubs, right? Which is the data. So when you add that up, you get 160. And then you go, okay, so the people that are in 0 clubs will be everybody that is not in this table. So it would be 204 minus 160, which means that there's 44 people that are not in a club. So you start to add up all of this, 117, 118, y el 144. And when you add all of that up, you will divide that by what percentage. Again, every time you see the of, you know that's the denominator. How many 10th graders are there? 204. So you would have had something like this. And if you add up these 3 numbers, 17, 118, and 44, I'm not sure what you get. You guys can help out. Something over 204. Then you multiply by 100. And we're going to round to the nearest 10th al final. 179. Okay. So rounding to the nearest 10th, like I said yesterday, you don't want to round too early. You actually want to do this first, then multiply by 100, and then whatever you get here, now you can start rounding. Aquí. So we're going to round to the nearest 10th of whatever that number is. So this should be 87.7%. Okay? Now, so again, if you had the other version, the maximum of 2 clubs, for the other version, this would be your part B. Okay? So if you have the other version, you're going to do the same thing, but in part B. Likewise, now it's the easier part, which is same kind of question. I give you a total of a different grade. So instead of 10th grade, I gave you the 12th grade, right? There's this many people. What percentage of them do not belong to any club, which means 0 clubs. So the same way that we did it up there, the 0 clubs, which was take how many people there are and subtract how many people are in a club. So let me go to my table. I need to figure out how many people are in a club for 12th grade. And if you add these numbers up, you should get 125 or no? Yeah? All right.
Yeah.
And so of those 125, how many people are not in a club? That would be the numerator, right? The numerator part. That would be 139 minus 125, which is 14. So now I know that 14 people are not in a club in the 12th grade. So what percentage of the 12th grade? Well, that means what percentage of that? So that's 139. And remember, do not round yet. You round later. So you will round here. Okay? And what does that come out as?
10.1.
Yep, 10.1%. Good. Okay, so then moving forward, get down to number 8. You can read it, but you had to base your answer on the sample, which is, remember, this is the sample, the whole thing. Predict how many of the school's 581 females would prefer comedy. So this is where you have to set up a proportion. You're gonna use the females that prefer comedy from this sample, but your total should be about what you know here. You're supposed to make a prediction about who? Females. So this means that your total is supposed to be females. So there are 83 females. 29 of those 83 like comedy, sample. So if this is the sample, you set that equal to, you don't know how many, right? So they're asking you how many of this sample, which is the school. So how many of those 581 like comedy? And you solve this, you have to cross multiply, okay? And you'll get some number equals 83x, whatever this number is. Luego se divide entre 83. And at the end, you will get 203.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how many females from the school. From the school, not the sample. This is like the whole school. Okay, and then last but not least, you had box and whisker plot. You were supposed to make a box and whisker plot. 1, so A means 1, 4, 15 values. So you had to put all of this into L1, right? Then you had to run the 1 var stats, and you needed these values. Remember, you need the 5 important ones. So Q1, median, Q3, and the maximum. And this was pretty easy. You just had to put the data in. Whatever order you want, just make sure you put all those numbers in. For this version, you were going to get 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's how you would have made your box and whisker plot. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You go down here and you had to use an appropriate scale. So here's the laziest scale that you could use. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just focus on which is which. This is your minimum, this is your maximum. This was Q1, this was Q3, and that was the median. So I know that my box should be here between 5 and 7. And then my median should be 6. And that's it.